In the warehouse where we used to practice, there's a ghost who really likes me. He first talked to me when I was drunk and alone. Everyone had left to get more beer, and I stayed on Joni's giant bed in the front of the warehouse, dead awake, feeling whatever sort of weird energy that large cathedral of cigarette butts and empties had to offer. He was so apparent once it was quiet. He was up in the rafters, and that's where Joni told me he lived when I asked. Yeah, she said, he just hangs out in here. He's chill. When I started sleeping with Joni in the warehouse every night, I could hear him in the back, playing the drums. Joni would look at me and say, do you hear that drum banging? That's not the rats. That's the ghost. Emily, the warehouse rat dog, never chased him away. He just liked hanging out and playing the drums. I bet he kept Emily company before Joni moved in there, when she was living alone in there for years. It was just Emily, the rats, and the ghost. I woke up one morning after Joni left and went to the back of the warehouse to practice the drums for our set. I didn't know the drums at all, but I had to play it perfectly or no one would play it probably. I sat for hours with the drumsticks and my gas station coffee and played the same beat over and over and over again. The same song. I started playing it straight through, faster and faster and faster, and I could hear him singing in the rafters. I would stop playing, and he would stop singing. I would begin playing again, and he would sing louder and louder and louder, as if he needed the sound waves from the drum set to be able to make his way into my head. When we would jam there, Pole the dog would give me the most terrified eyes. Her eyes kind of looked like our baby's eyes. People had died in there, and then alive, abandoned, energy growing as stagnant as the dusty glass pools, and the motorcycles, and the shit that had been nesting wrapped and micro-landscapes of mold within them for years. The drugs, the bombs, the treasures and trinkets and trash, growing more and more ancient and reclaimed by black milk with each slowly dripping second. The ghost watches as the film becomes more and more forgotten, as the landscape of what he left behind changes with the seasons, leaks and freezes and throbs with rats in the wintertime, heats and cracks and becomes flooded with buzzing flies and spiders in the summertime. His abandoned glass pieces become crystallized tree stumps sticking out of a black mold swamp, and these dusty kilns ever more noxious caverns above a stagnant sea of shit and piss. It was an abandoned swamp where the only things remaining were rodents and bugs, and the rest of the things living were dead. He liked us, the ghost, and that's why he told us to leave. I was sleeping, the rain pouring harder than ever that night and flooding the entire town, when the ghost interrupted my dream. I felt myself open my eyes and look at him. Hey, time to get out! Sleep was so heavy on me. Maybe it was the black mold that was already secretly growing thick that was dragging us deeper and deeper down, but I couldn't open my eyes. Get up! Get up! It's time to get up! He kept yelling. Joni. I could barely open my mouth. I don't even know if the words came out. I fell back asleep and dreamed that my mom was calling me on the cell phone. It was a nice conversation. Do you think this is real? She asked me. No, I responded, but I wish it was. There's a security alarm in the back of the warehouse that would beep every time the front door opened. The alarm beeped through our phone call and then beeped again and again. I dragged my eyelids open. Alice, Joni said, peeling herself out of the crusty covers and onto the sticky hard ground. I could open my mouth this time, but let the mold sink into the dozing cortex of my brain. It's just the ghost. It's just a ghost, huh, said Joni. It's just a ghost, I said. Joni crawled back into the bed and closed her eyes. The beeping started up again. I remembered that the ghost wanted us to leave. He told you to leave? Yes, I said. He said to get up. The beeping quieted down. Maybe he was trying to tell us something. It's trying to tell us something. she said. Let's leave. Maybe there will be an earthquake or something. I'm trying. The alarm beeped more frantically. Joni smeared on her eyeliner and I peeled myself out of the covers and onto the concrete atmosphere. The beeping had stopped, I realized. It had stopped once I left the bed. We're gone, she announced to the air. We left with Emily the dog and waited for the disaster to happen. If there was an earthquake, the stripped wiring could fall on the bed and start a fire that would burn down the little room with a single exit and no ventilation. Maybe the murderous transphobe who lived down the street was finally planning to sneak in with his buddies and corner us in there. Nothing happened like that. The next day, Joni had discovered that the overflowing, stagnant rainwater that puddled through the warehouse had finally leaked into her room, and a trickle of toxic rat piss and shit and mold was beginning to waterfall down her walls. It was so quiet, we would never have noticed. There was always an abandoned bag of something of someone else's from some other time in Joni's room. She never knew what it was. She never touched it. Today, she said on her way out of the room for perhaps the last time, the bag fell across the floor, revealing something. She couldn't leave without moving it, without touching his things. Maybe he changed his mind. Maybe he'll be lonely. Maybe he doesn't want us to go at all. But I feel like he will go back to being just content, living above the rats and the glass and the growing mold until the whole building fades into something else. I think that maybe he just doesn't want us to forget about him.